Ever get that feeling, that life's a bit like running on a hamster wheel,
Oh, yeah.
going through the motions, but missing like that deeper connection we all crave?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you're not alone. Today we're going on a deep dive into 15 daily habits,
Okay.
inspired by a source all about strengthening your bond with, well, the divine. Think of it as a spiritual toolkit. But instead of like obscure rituals, we're talking practical actions.
Right.
Ones you can weave right into your day.
I like that. What's fascinating about these habits is that they operate on a subtle but profound level. It's not about making grand gestures. It's about the cumulative effect of small, consistent actions.
Okay, I love that. It's like building like spiritual muscle memory. So first up, let's talk about conscious prayer.
Okay.
We all know the drill quick prayers before meals, maybe a rushed bedtime prayer. But what if we transformed prayer
Yeah.
from like a to-do list item into a dedicated space?
Exactly. Instead of those like drive-by prayers, imagine creating a mental sanctuary, a scheduled appointment with the Holy Spirit.
I like that.
And studies even show that dedicating, like even a few minutes,
Oh, wow.
to focused prayer can actually shift your brainwave activity towards a calmer, more peaceful state.
Wow. So it's not just about feeling good.
Right.
There's real science behind it. So how do we make this conscious prayer thing actually happen? I mean, life gets busy.
Right. You're right. It's about being intentional. Some people find meditation helps them enter that prayerful space. Others connect through scripture reading or journaling. It's about finding what works for you. And here's where it gets really interesting. The benefits extend beyond that quiet time. That increased focus and clarity from prayer can actually make you more effective at work.
Okay, so I'm picturing this. I start my day with like a few minutes of meditation.
Yeah.
Focusing on connecting with the Holy Spirit. And that actually helps me stay more centered and productive throughout the day. Sign me up.
It can.
Now, what about studying sacred texts? Does that have a similar impact?
Absolutely. Think about it. Those biblical stories and teachings, they're full of timeless wisdom. Dedicating time each day to really dig into those texts can offer fresh perspectives, even on everyday challenges, even those tricky work situations.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be honest, sometimes reading scripture can feel a bit like, homework. Any tips for making it feel like more engaging?
Definitely. Try joining a Bible study group. The shared insights and different perspectives can be incredibly enriching. And don't underestimate the power of technology. There are so many fantastic Bible apps out there.
Really?
That offer commentaries and different translations. Makes it easier than ever to have a consistent and enriching study routine.
Those apps are game changers. Speaking of shaking things up, habit number 3 is a bit unexpected. Meditating on divine attributes. I'll admit, I'm not quite sure what that looks like in practice.
It's simpler than it sounds. Think about the qualities we attribute to God. Love, justice, mercy, compassion.
Okay.
This habit invites you to choose one attribute each week.
Oh, okay.
And really reflect on how it shows up in your own life. You can journal your thoughts, meditate on specific examples, even observe how that attribute is reflected in the world around you.
So, for example, if I chose mercy, I might spend the week kind of noticing acts of mercy, maybe reflecting on how I extend mercy to myself and others.
Exactly.
Could meditating on an attribute like that actually change my behavior?
It can be quite transformative. By consciously focusing on these divine qualities, we begin to internalize them, allowing them to shape, our thoughts, words, and actions. And that inner transformation can have a ripple effect on our relationships, our careers, even our financial decisions.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's like we're aligning our inner compass with those spiritual values.
Right.
And that alignment can positively impact every area of our lives. Now, speaking of living in alignment, habit number 4 is all about taking those values and putting them into action.
Right. This habit, aptly called living spiritual values, challenges you to choose one spiritual value each week and consciously try to embody it in your daily life.
Okay.
It's about bridging the gap between beliefs and action.
So it's not enough to just think about compassion. We have to actually act with compassion. But with so many demands pulling us in different directions, how do we make that a consistent practice?
It's about making small conscious choices throughout the day. If you're focusing on compassion, maybe it's offering a listening ear to a stressed out colleague, or extending grace to yourself when you make a mistake. If it's honesty, maybe it's being transparent in your financial dealings, or giving honest, constructive feedback.
So every interaction becomes an opportunity to put those values into practice. It's like a spiritual workout. Strengthening our compassion muscles or our honesty muscles. I love that.
Right.
Do you think it helps to have, like, support when trying to implement these kinds of changes?
Absolutely. Sharing your experiences and challenges with a steady group, family, or close friends can provide accountability and encouragement.
Right.
And don't underestimate the power of celebrating each other's successes, no matter how small.
That makes sense. There's strength in numbers.
For sure.
Now, for habit number 5, we're taking a bit of a tech detox.
Oh, yeah.
With daily disconnection. I'm already feeling a little anxious just thinking about unplugging.
I understand the feeling, but hear me out. In today's hyper-connected world, our minds are constantly bombarded. Information, notifications, demands, this constant stimulation, it can leave us feeling spiritually drained, even if we don't realize it.
Right.
This habit invites you to carve out a digital detox zone each evening.
So no phones, no screens, just a complete tech break. I can see the appeal. But realistically, can we truly disconnect in today's world?
It's definitely a challenge. But even starting with small pockets of time can make a difference.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an hour after dinner.
Okay.
Where you turn off your phone, step away from the computer, and engage in activities that nourish your soul. Maybe you read a book, write in a journal, listen to music, or simply sit in silence and breathe.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal. It's like hitting the reset button on our minds and spirits, allowing us to reconnect with ourselves and those spiritual values we've been talking about.
Exactly. And here's a bonus. Disconnecting from the external noise can actually spark creativity.
Oh, really?
And help you come up with innovative solutions to problems. It's like clearing the mental clutter to make space for fresh ideas. And, this habit also cultivates patience and perseverance, qualities that are essential in both biblical and modern life. We're learning to be present and resist those instant gratification urges. Now let's talk about giving back.
Okay, I love this. Habit number 6 is altruistic service.
This one challenges you to commit to at least one act of service every day, no matter how small. It could be helping a coworker, volunteering at a local organization, or simply lending a listening ear to a friend in need.
I'm a big believer in the power of small acts of kindness. But how does this connect back to deepening our connection with the divine?
Well, think about those biblical teachings on love and charity. Altruistic service allows us to put those teachings into practice, to experience firsthand the joy of giving and the profound impact even small acts of kindness can have on others. It's like bringing those biblical values to life.
So it's not just about feeling good. It's about actively embodying those principles of love and compassion. It's like a spiritual muscle we're strengthening through consistent action. Now, habit number 7 takes this idea of spiritual discipline a step further with fasting practices. This habit might sound a bit intimidating, but it's not just about abstaining from food. It's about consciously abstaining from negative habits that might be cluttering your mind and spirit. Think of it as a detox for your soul.
Yeah, I like that.
So it's like hitting the reset button on our negative patterns. What are some examples of this kind of fasting?
Imagine dedicating a day to fasting from criticism.
Oh, wow.
No judging yourself or others. Just pure acceptance.
Okay.
It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
But it can be incredibly transformative.
Okay, that sounds tough, but I can see how it would be valuable.
Yeah.
What are some other ways we can apply this habit?
How about a day without consuming any negative news?
Okay.
Turn off the TV, avoid social media, and just focus on positive and uplifting content.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you choose to refrain from complaining for a whole day. It's amazing how much lighter you feel when you stop focusing on the negative.
I love those examples.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much mental and emotional energy we can waste on things that don't serve us. So by consciously abstaining, we're creating space for something much more positive and uplifting.
Exactly. Like deeper connection with God, reflection, and a renewed sense of purpose.
Yeah.
It's not about deprivation.
Right.
It's about clearing space for something more meaningful. Now let's talk about connecting with others.
Okay, I'm all about community. What's next on our spiritual toolkit?
Habit number 8 is community participation. This one is all about strengthening those spiritual and human bonds through shared experiences.
Sounds good to me. But with everyone's busy schedules, how do we actually make this happen?
It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as attending events at your church
Okay.
or local community center. Maybe you join a Bible study group,
Right.
volunteer for a service project, or even just start attending like a regular yoga class or a book club.
So it's about finding those shared experiences that bring us together and nourish our souls.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond the social aspect, how does community participation enhance our spiritual growth?
Well, for starters, those shared experiences can be incredibly rewarding. They strengthen our faith, offer a sense of belonging, and can even help us develop valuable skills.
Really? Like what?
Like leadership, teamwork, communication, problem solving, all those things that are important, not just in our personal lives, but also in our professional lives. And when we're working alongside others who share our values and beliefs, it's easier to be motivated and inspired.
It's like having a built-in support system for our spiritual journey.
Right.
Now, habit number 9 is all about taking time for yourself. It's called end-of-day reflection. I have to admit, I'm not always great at this. My days tend to just kind of blur together.
I get it. We live in a fast-paced world, but carving out even a few minutes each evening to reflect can make a huge difference in your overall well-being. Imagine ending your day by reviewing what went well, what you're grateful for, and what you might do differently next time.
It's like a mental and emotional reset before you go to sleep. A chance to process the day and let go of anything that's weighing you down.
Exactly. And this practice can also strengthen your relationship with God. It's a time to acknowledge your dependence on Him for guidance and support, and to see how those biblical principles we've been talking about are showing up in your daily life.
So I might ask myself, how did I practice compassion today?
Exactly.
Or did I react with patience when I was faced with the challenge?
Precisely. It's like a personal accountability check-in with your spiritual goals. And journaling can be a really helpful tool for this habit. Writing down your thoughts and feelings can help you process the day's events and gain valuable insights. It's like having a conversation with yourself on paper. And sometimes that's exactly what we need to clear our minds and gain clarity, ready to get some fresh air.
Always. What's next?
Habit number 10 invites you to take reflective walks. Imagine stepping outside and immersing yourself in the beauty of nature. Maybe it's a walk in the park, a hike in the woods, or simply a stroll around your neighborhood.
Yeah.
The point is to create space for reflection and connection with the divine.
I love this one. I've always found that nature has a way of calming my mind and lifting my spirits. But how do we make those walks more than just like a physical exercise?
Right.
How do we infuse them with that spiritual element?
During your walks, you can meditate on different aspects of your life, your relationship with God, and how the beauty of nature reflects His attributes. Think about the intricate details of a flower or the vastness of the ocean. Those are all reflections of God's creativity, power, and love.
Those moments of like awe and wonder can be so powerful. It's like we're catching a glimpse of the divine through the lens of creation.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of powerful but sometimes challenging experiences, habit number 11 is all about forgiveness practice. I have to admit, this one often feels like a hurdle for me.
I understand. Forgiveness can be incredibly difficult, especially when someone has really hurt us. But holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run. This habit invites us to make a conscious effort to practice forgiveness every day, both for ourselves and for others.
Okay, so how do we start?
Right.
Where do we even begin when it feels impossible to let go of those painful feelings?
It starts with a willingness to let go of the pain and resentment, even if it's just a little bit at a time.
Right.
It's about choosing to see the person who hurt you with compassion and understanding, recognizing that they too are flawed and capable of making mistakes.
That's a tall order.
Okay.
But I can see how it would be incredibly freeing to release those negative emotions. But doesn't forgiveness sometimes feel like we're letting the other person off the hook?
That's a common misconception. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning the other person's actions or forgetting what happened. It simply means choosing to release the anger and resentment. so that you can move forward with your life.
So it's not about them.
Right.
It's about freeing ourselves from the burden of those negative feelings. Are there any biblical stories or teachings that can help us with this practice? I know forgiveness is a central theme in many faith traditions.
Absolutely. Think about the parable of the prodigal son. That story is all about unconditional love, forgiveness, and second chances. Those kinds of stories can offer new perspectives and encourage a more loving and tolerant approach.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like we're tapping into the wisdom of those teachings to guide us through those difficult moments of forgiveness. Now, habit number 12 sounds a bit more lighthearted, artistic creation as prayer.
This one is all about using art as a form of prayer and meditation, allowing your creative energy to flow and connecting with God through that process.
So I don't have to be a Michelangelo to benefit from this habit. I'm more of a stick figure artist.
Not at all. It doesn't matter if you're a professional artist.
Yeah.
Or just like to doodle in your spare time.
Right.
The point is to express yourself authentically, whether it's through painting, drawing, writing, music, or any other art form that speaks to you.
So how does this connect to prayer? How do we infuse those creative acts with a sense of the sacred?
Well, each brushstroke, each note, each word can be an offering to God. It's a way to pour your heart out, to explore your feelings, to seek guidance and inspiration. It's like a nonverbal conversation with the divine.
I love that imagery. It's like we're communicating with God through the language of creativity. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as doodling in a journal while you pray or listening to music that inspires you.
Exactly. And it can be a powerful way to connect with those biblical stories and teachings as well.
Oh, really?
Imagine painting a scene from the story of Noah's Ark. Or writing a poem about the teachings of Jesus. It's a way to bring those stories to life in a personal and meaningful way. And artistic creation can also be incredibly therapeutic. It can help you process difficult emotions, reduce stress, and find a sense of peace and calm. Okay, ready to move from the individual to the family.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
What's next on our list of habits?
Habit number 13 is all about family spiritual teachings. This is about creating a strong spiritual foundation for your home by sharing those values and traditions with the next generation.
This is so important, but with the demands of modern life.
Yeah.
How do we make time for these kinds of spiritual conversations? I know sometimes it feels like we're just trying to get everyone, fed into bed on time.
You're right. It's all about finding those moments that work for your family. It doesn't have to be a formal sit-down affair. Maybe you create a weekly ritual where your family gathers to read and discuss biblical stories and principles. You could even make it fun by incorporating activities like drawing, role-playing, or singing.
I love those ideas. It's about making faith a natural part of family life.
Right.
Creating those special moments where those values are shared and nurtured.
Yeah.
Now, habit number 14 takes a bit of a turn towards self-discipline. This habit, aptly called self-discipline and renunciation, is about practicing self-control. In all areas of your life, from your diet to your leisure activities, it's about creating a more focused and less indulgent life.
Right.
This one definitely sounds challenging. I can be a bit of a creature of comfort.
Oh, yeah.
What are some examples of this habit in action? I'm picturing monks meditating on mountaintops.
It doesn't have to be that extreme. It could be as simple as setting limits on your screen time. Choosing to eat healthy foods, even when you're tempted by unhealthy options. Or even just sticking to a budget.
So it's about making those conscious choices that align with our values, even when it's not easy. But isn't there a danger of becoming too rigid or restrictive?
Right.
How do we find that balance between self-discipline and self-care?
That's a great question. The key is to approach self-discipline with a spirit of love and compassion, not punishment. It's about making choices that support our overall well-being, both physically and spiritually. And remember, those small acts of self-discipline can have a ripple effect on other areas of your life.
So, for example, if I'm practicing self-control with my spending, that might translate into being more disciplined with my time or my eating habits. It's like we're building that spiritual muscle that can then support us in other areas of our lives.
Exactly. And self-discipline can also lead to a deeper sense of inner peace and contentment because we're not constantly giving in to our impulses and desires. And you know what else? Self-discipline can even help you achieve your financial goals.
Okay, tell me more about that. I'm always looking for ways to improve my financial well-being.
Well, when you're able to delay gratification and make wise choices with your money, you're more likely to save, invest, and build a secure financial future.
So it's not just about saying no to that extra latte. It's
Yeah.
about developing a mindset of financial responsibility and long-term planning. I can definitely see the connection. Now, I'm really intrigued by habit number 15, inspirational music.
This one is all about incorporating spiritual or inspirational music into your daily routine
Yeah.
to uplift your spirit and connect you with the divine.
I love this one. Music has such a profound effect on my mood and energy. But how do we make music more than just entertainment? How do we infuse it with that spiritual dimension?
Well, think about the type of music you listen to. Does it uplift you? Does it inspire you? Does it connect you to something greater than yourself? Whether you're listening to hymns, gospel music, or contemporary Christian songs, it's about surrounding yourself with sounds that nourish your soul.
So it's like creating a soundtrack for our spiritual journey.
Right.
Filling our lives with music that resonates with our deepest values and aspirations. I can definitely see how this habit could enhance our daily lives. Now we've covered 15 habits,
Right.
and I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed. Where do we even begin?
That's a great question. And it's something we'll explore in more depth as we continue our deep dive.
Okay, great. I'm ready to keep exploring.
You know, as we journey through these habits, it strikes me how they're not just like isolated practices. They weave together,
Right.
each one supporting and amplifying the others,
Yeah,
like threads in a tapestry.
I like that.
It's not about mastering them all at once,
Right.
but rather about finding the ones that resonate most deeply with you
Right.
right now.
That makes a lot of sense. Like we're creating a personalized spiritual toolkit, choosing the tools that best fit our current needs and goals. So let's pick up where we left off with those 15 transformative habits. What's next on our agenda?
We're talking about the power of inspirational music.
Right.
Think about how certain songs can instantly shift your mood
Oh, yeah.
or evoke powerful emotions.
Right.
Now imagine harnessing that power to uplift your spirit and connect you with the divine.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. I love listening to music, but I've never really thought about it as like a spiritual practice. How do we make that connection? Is it just about listening to hymns and gospel music?
It can be, but it's not limited to those genres. It's about finding music that speaks to your soul. Music that uplifts you, inspires you, and helps you feel connected to something greater than yourself. Maybe it's classical music, nature sounds, or even contemporary Christian music.
Yeah.
The key is to be intentional about the music you choose and how it makes you feel.
So it's about creating a conscious soundscape
Yeah.
for our spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Instead of passively letting the radio play in the background, we're choosing music that aligns with our values and aspirations.
Exactly. And, you know, music can also be a powerful tool for focus and concentration.
Really?
If you're struggling to concentrate on a task
Right.
or quiet your mind for prayer or meditation, try listening to calming instrumental music
Okay.
or even Gregorian chants.
Oh, wow.
You might be surprised at how much it helps.
That's a great tip. I'm definitely
Yeah.
going to try that. Now, before we move on, I'm curious about something. We've been talking about music as a personal spiritual practice.
Yeah.
But can it also be like a way to connect with others?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sharing music with others can be a wonderful way to build community and deepen relationships. Think about putting together a playlist for a friend who's going through a tough time, or sharing your favorite hymns with your family. It's a beautiful way to connect on a deeper level.
I love that idea. It's like we're sharing a piece of our spiritual journey with others through music.
Right.
Okay, so we've explored the power of music, but I'm ready to dive back into those habits that require a bit more effort. Where do we go from here?
Let's revisit habit number 7. Fasting practices. We talked about it briefly earlier,
Right.
but I think it deserves a deeper dive.
Okay, I'm game. But I have to admit, the word fasting always makes me think of, deprivation and hunger pangs.
Right.
Can you remind me what this habit is really about?
Of course, remember, it's not just about food. It's about consciously abstaining from anything.
Right.
That might be cluttering your mind and spirit, anything that's keeping you from experiencing a deeper connection with the divine.
Mm.
Think of it as a spiritual cleanse.
So it's like decluttering our mental and emotional space, creating a more spacious and receptive environment for spiritual growth. I like that. But what are some practical examples of this kind of fasting?
Imagine dedicating a day to fasting from criticism. No judging yourself or others,
Yeah.
just pure acceptance.
Okay.
It's a challenge for sure,
Yeah.
but it can be incredibly transformative.
Okay. That sounds tough, but I can see how it would be valuable.
Right.
What are some other ways we can apply this habit?
How about a day without consuming any negative news?
Okay.
Turn off the TV, avoid social media, and just focus on positive and uplifting content.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you choose to refrain from complaining for a whole day.
Right.
It's amazing how much lighter you feel when you stop focusing on the negative.
Those are great examples. It's like we're breaking those negative thought patterns and creating space for more positive and productive energy.
Exactly.
Now, I know this habit might sound a bit intimidating,
Right?
but I'm guessing the benefits are worth the effort.
They can be.
What are some of the positive outcomes of practicing this kind of spiritual fasting?
The benefits are numerous.
Okay.
For starters, it strengthens your self-discipline, which can have a ripple effect on other areas of your life, like managing finances or sticking to a healthy eating plan. It also deepens your connection with God by clearing away the mental and emotional clutter that can block that connection. And perhaps most importantly, it helps you develop a more positive and optimistic outlook on life.
Wow. Those are some pretty compelling reasons to give it a try.
Right.
Now, before we move on, I have a confession to make. I'm a bit of a social butterfly.
Oh, okay.
So habit number 8, community participation, really resonates with me. But I'm wondering if you can elaborate on the benefits of this habit. I mean, I love spending time with friends and family, but how does that connect to spiritual growth?
That's a great question. While connecting with loved ones is important, this habit goes beyond those personal relationships.
Okay.
It's about actively engaging with your community, whether it's through your church, a local volunteer organization, or even like a book club or hiking group.
So it's about expanding our circle of connection beyond our immediate circle and engaging with people who share our values and interests, even if we don't know them personally.
Exactly. And there are so many benefits to doing this.
Okay.
For starters, it strengthens our faith by surrounding us with people who share our beliefs and values. It also provides a sense of belonging and purpose, which can be incredibly grounding and fulfilling. And perhaps most importantly, it gives us opportunities to practice those spiritual values we've been talking about, like compassion, generosity, forgiveness.
So it's like a spiritual laboratory where we can put those values into practice in a supportive and encouraging environment. I love that.
Yeah.
But with everyone's busy schedules, how do we actually make time for community participation? I know sometimes it feels like I'm just trying to keep my own head above water.
You're not alone. The key is to start small and be intentional. Maybe you commit to attending one church event per month.
Okay.
Or volunteering at a local soup kitchen once a week. Even small acts of engagement can make a big difference.
That makes sense. It's about weaving those acts of service and connection into the fabric of our lives, rather than trying to add one more thing to our already overflowing to-do lists. Now, I'm intrigued by habit number 9, end-of-day reflection. I have to admit, I'm not always great at this. My days tend to just blur together in a whirlwind of activities and to-dos.
I understand. We live in a fast-paced world where it's easy to get caught up in the momentum of daily life. But taking even a few minutes each evening to reflect can have a profound impact on your overall well-being.
Okay, I'm willing to give it a try.
Yeah.
But what exactly does this habit involve? Do I need to sit in silent meditation for an hour before bed?
Not at all. It can be as simple as taking a few deep breaths and reviewing the day's events in your mind.
Yeah.
What were some of the highlights? What were some of the challenges? What are you grateful for?
Right.
What could you have done differently?
So it's like hitting the pause button on our busy lives.
Exactly.
And taking stock of what's really important. I can see how that would be helpful, but do you have any tips for making this habit stick? I know I've tried journaling before, but I always seem to fizzle out after a few days.
Consistency is key. Try setting aside a specific time each evening for reflection, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes. And don't worry about writing a novel.
Right.
Just jot down a few thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
You might also find it helpful to use a guided meditation app.
Okay.
Or listen to calming music while you reflect.
Those are great suggestions. I'm starting to see how this habit could help me process my experiences, gain clarity, and even deepen my connection with the divine. It's like creating a space for intentional reflection in the midst of our busy lives.
Yeah, I'm ready to get outside and connect with nature. What's next on our spiritual toolkit?
Habit number 10 is all about reflective walks.
Okay.
We've touched on the power of nature before.
Right.
But this habit encourages you to intentionally incorporate walks into your spiritual practice.
I love going for walks, especially in nature. It's so calming and grounding. But how do we make those walks more than just a physical exercise?
Right.
How do we infuse them with that spiritual element?
Right.
The key is to approach your walks with a sense of mindfulness and intention. Instead of letting your mind race with to-dos and worries,
Right.
focus on being present in the moment. Notice the sights, sounds, and smells around you.
Yeah.
Feel the breeze on your skin and the ground beneath your feet.
So it's about tuning into our senses
Right.
and really experiencing the beauty and wonder of the natural world. I can see how that would be calming and restorative.
Yeah.
But how does this connect to deepening our connection with the divine?
As you walk, try to see the divine reflected in the beauty of creation.
Mhm.
And notice the intricate details of a flower,
Mhm.
the vastness of the ocean, the strength of a tree.
Great.
These are all expressions of God's creative power and love.
You're right.
You might even find yourself wanting to express your gratitude or offer a prayer of thanks for the gift of creation.
That's beautiful. It's like we're having a walking meditation, allowing the beauty of nature to inspire and uplift us. Now, speaking of challenges, habit number 11 is all about forgiveness practice. This is a habit that I often struggle with, especially when someone has really hurt me. It can be so hard to let go of those feelings of anger and resentment. Do you have any tips for making this practice a little bit easier?
I understand how challenging forgiveness can be.
Yeah.
It's not about condoning the other person's actions or forgetting what happened. It's about releasing the burden of those negative emotions so that you can move forward with your life.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually do that? Where do we even begin when it feels impossible to let go?
Start by acknowledging the pain that you're feeling. Don't try to suppress it or pretend it's not there.
Right.
Then try to see the situation from the other person's perspective. Maybe they were hurting too. Or maybe they made a mistake. Remember that everyone is flawed.
Right.
and capable of making mistakes.
So it's about cultivating compassion and understanding.
Right.
Both for ourselves and for the person who hurt us.
Exactly. And if you find yourself struggling to forgive,
Yeah.
try praying for the person who hurt you.
Oh.
It might sound counterintuitive, but it can actually be incredibly healing.
That's a powerful suggestion. I'm definitely going to try that. Now, I'm ready to tap into my creative side with habit number 12, artistic creation as prayer.
Okay.
This one sounds really intriguing, but I have to admit I'm not very artistic. I'm more of a left brain type of person. Do I need to be a talented artist to benefit from this habit?
Not at all. This habit isn't about creating masterpieces.
Okay.
It's about using art as a way to connect with the divine, to express your feelings, and to explore your spirituality in a creative way.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. But what are some practical ways I can incorporate this habit into my life? I mean, I'm not going to suddenly start painting or sculpting.
It doesn't have to be that elaborate. It could be as simple as doodling in a journal while you pray,
Right.
or listening to music that inspires you. The key is to find a creative outlet that allows you to express yourself authentically,
Right.
and connect with the divine in a meaningful way.
So it's about finding those activities that spark our creativity and allow us to tap into that spiritual energy that flows through us.
Right.
I love that. Now, speaking of creativity, habit number 13 is all about nurturing that creative spirit in our families with family spiritual teachings. I'm a big believer in the importance of passing on our values and beliefs
Yeah.
to the next generation. But I know it can be challenging to make time for those conversations in the midst of our busy lives.
You're right. It can be a challenge.
Yeah.
But the key is to make faith a natural part of family life.
Right.
Rather than trying to force it or make it a chore, create simple rituals and traditions that your family enjoys, like reading Bible stories together before bed,
Okay.
or saying grace before meals.
I love those ideas.
Yeah.
It's about weaving those spiritual threads into the fabric of our daily lives,
Right.
rather than trying to create separate spiritual activities.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get creative. You could act out Bible stories together, create artwork inspired by your faith, or even write your own prayers and songs.
Those are great suggestions. It's about making faith fun and engaging for everyone, regardless of age or background. Now, habit number 14 is a bit more serious. It's called self-discipline and renunciation. I have to admit, those words don't exactly conjure up images of, fun and excitement.
Right.
And can you help me understand what this habit is really about?
This habit is all about practicing self-control
Okay.
in all areas of your life, from your diet to your leisure activities. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values, even when it's not easy.
Okay. I can see how self-discipline would be important for spiritual growth. But what about renunciation? That sounds a bit extreme. Do we really need to give up everything we enjoy?
Renunciation doesn't have to be about deprivation or self-punishment. It's about letting go of things that are holding you back from experiencing a deeper connection with the divine.
Okay.
It could be as simple as giving up gossiping or complaining,
Right.
or it could involve making bigger changes, like cutting back on social media,
Right.
or reducing your spending.
So it's about identifying those things that are cluttering our lives and our spirits, and making a conscious choice to let them go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the benefits are numerous. Self-discipline and renunciation can lead to greater peace of mind, increased clarity, and a deeper sense of purpose.
Those are definitely qualities I'm striving for. Now, I'm really intrigued by habit number 15, inspirational music. I've always loved music, but I've never really thought about it as a spiritual practice. Can you elaborate on how music can enhance our spiritual lives?
Music has an incredible power to uplift our spirits, inspire us, and connect us with something greater than ourselves, whether it's listening to hymns, gospel music, or contemporary Christian songs. It's about surrounding yourself with sounds that nourish your soul.
So it's like creating a soundtrack for our spiritual journey,
Right.
filling our lives with music that resonates with our deepest values and aspirations. I can definitely see how this habit could enhance our daily lives. But how do we make music more than just entertainment? How do we infuse it with that spiritual dimension?
It's about being intentional with the music you choose and how you listen to it, instead of passively letting the radio play in the background.
Right.
Create playlists that uplift and inspire you.
Okay.
Listen to music with lyrics that speak to your soul,
Right.
or instrumental music that helps you feel calm and centered.
Those are great suggestions. I'm gonna start paying closer attention to the music I listen to and how it makes me feel. Now, we've covered all 15 habits.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling incredibly inspired,
Good.
but I have to admit I'm also feeling a little overwhelmed.
Right.
Where do we even begin?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll delve into as we continue our deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready to keep exploring. As we've been unpacking these 15 habits,
Yeah.
I'm struck by how they're not just like a random collection of practices.
Right.
They seem to like work together,
Yeah.
almost like pieces of a puzzle.
That's a great observation. They really do create a synergistic effect. For instance, that conscious prayer we talked about
Right.
can actually deepen your understanding of Scripture. And those insights from Scripture might then inspire you to express your faith through artistic creation.
It's like a chain reaction of positive change.
Yeah.
One habit fuels the next, creating a momentum that can really transform your life.
For sure.
But with so many habits to choose from, where do we even begin? It's a bit like standing in front of a buffet with 15 delicious dishes.
Right.
It's hard to know where to start.
You're right. It can feel a bit overwhelming. The key is to not try to do everything at once. Remember, This isn't about checking boxes.
Right.
It's about finding those practices that genuinely resonate with you.
Mm.
Start by choosing one habit that speaks to your heart.
Okay.
Something you feel drawn to explore. Maybe it's that digital detox we discussed.
Mm.
Or maybe it's incorporating inspirational music into your daily routine. The point is to start small.
Right.
And be consistent.
So instead of trying to revamp our entire lives overnight, we're focusing on making small, sustainable changes.
Right.
It's like choosing one ingredient to add to our spiritual recipe, seeing how it tastes, and then adjusting accordingly.
Exactly.
But what if we hit a roadblock? I know I can be pretty good at starting new habits.
Yeah.
But I often struggle to maintain them over time.
Right.
Any tips for staying motivated and avoiding those spiritual slumps?
That's where the power of community comes in. Remember that habit we talked about?
Yeah.
Community participation.
Right.
Surrounding yourself with people who share your values and beliefs can provide a sense of accountability and encouragement.
Right.
It's like having a spiritual cheering section, reminding you why you started this journey in the first place.
I like that.
And don't underestimate the power of celebrating those small victories.
Oh, yeah.
Acknowledge your progress and give yourself credit for the effort you're putting in.
Those are great reminders. It's so easy to get caught up in the shoulds.
Right.
And forget to celebrate the cans.
For sure.
And it's a good reminder that this isn't like a solo mission.
Right.
We're all in this together, supporting each other on the path to spiritual growth.
Exactly.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation.
Yeah.
Excited about the possibilities, but also a bit intimidated by the journey ahead.
Right.
Any final words of wisdom for those of us embarking on this adventure of spiritual deepening?
Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you feel lost, confused, or even discouraged. That's normal. The important thing is to keep moving forward, one step at a time. And remember that you're not alone. God is with you every step of the way, guiding you, supporting you, and loving you unconditionally. Trust in his presence and allow yourself to be transformed by his grace.
That's such a beautiful reminder. It's not about striving for perfection.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the journey and trusting in the process. So as we step out of this deep dive and back into our daily lives, I want to leave you with this question. What is one small step you can take today to nurture your connection with the divine? It could be anything from setting aside 5 minutes for conscious prayer to sending a kind text message to a friend in need.
Yeah.
Remember, even the smallest actions can create ripples of positive change. Not just in your own life, but in the world around you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thank you.
May your journey be filled with joy, peace, and a deepening connection with the divine.